cups.
Okay,
how can the
let's
rabbis
go.
have an in-person meeting?
I don't think they can.
It was on porches. Don't worry.
Yeah. Okay. Chazor from yesterday, right? So Daf Mem Hey, right? So the first thing we have is a proof that Rav says like Yehuda from hanging a lamp on trees. Okay, that was really, we did that 2 days ago. From hiding a menorah on Hanukkah, we see that we rely on Reb Shimon in Shas Chag situations.
My bad. Sorry, Tiago.
What's the problem?
I just muted you. Mute Nazis out in force.
That's the smartest thing that everybody heard. It's okay. Anyways, we said, does Reb Shimon hold the muktzah in situations where you make the stuff muktzah with your own hands? If you take fruits and you put them up on your roof, so you consciously made it muktzah. So maybe Reb Shimon there holds that that it's muktzah. No, I'm sorry. The Reb Shimon definitely holds when you put fruits and stuff on your roof, that's muktzah because you did it. The shaila is when you plant things and all that. So the Gemara ends up coming in and only fruits does Reb Shimon say is muktzah. Right? Then we discussed, does Reb Shimon hold to the concept of huksa for mitzvah, like schach and all that. Then we said on unripe dates muktzah according to Reb Shimon. Does Rebbi then does Rebbi hold the Reb Shimon? This is already on Amud. Does Reb Yochanan hold the Reb Shimon, which is really the sugi that we're in the middle of. Then we discussed if the chicken coop is muktzah, and if so, how does it become muktzah? And then what types of lamps are muktzah? Like we said, that the menorah depend on if it's made out of pieces or if it has indentations or whatever. Yeah. Okay, Leo already posted this on the chat, but his father-in-law was nifta. We were learning for schus for Shalema. His father-in-law was nifta this morning. I don't know. The food is not going to be for a day or two. So whatever it is, I don't know if he's saying the Shamash Ali or whatever it is. It should be the learning should be a schus for him and for the whole mishpacha. Yeah.
Okay. Probably Thursday afternoon.
Okay. So yeah. Okay. Hopefully we'll be.
Why so long?
What?
Why so long?
Go ahead, you could answer.
Not everybody's business.
It's fine. No, I'm not telling. No, he's in LA, but the Kvura is going to be in New York. So there's only like one flight every 2 days between LA and New York right now.
Yeah, no problem. I just didn't understand. Okay, no problem.
Yeah. By the way, sometimes it's not easy to get Kvuras nowadays. It's no joke. Even in New York.
Right, backed up.
Unfortunately, I think now already it cleared up a little bit. Last week it was insane.
They said Shremer Adas said there's still it comes and goes in waves, so it depends on the minute.
Wow, it's crazy. Okay, we should only hear good news.
Amen.
Okay, so let's survive this. So where are we up to? It's about 3, 6, 8 lines down. Yeah, it's not such a hard daf tonight, so yeah, hopefully we can get through it pretty easily. Remember Amud Aleph, about 8 lines down.
Okay.
Yeah, we got it? Yeah, Amar Reb Yochanan Hachi. Does Reb Yochanan so initially the Gemara yesterday wanted to say that Reb Yochanan holds like Reb Shimon. Then we went through all this proofs that Reb Yochanan holds like Reb Yehuda and he holds a Muktza. Now the Gemara is going to ask, does he really hold like Reb Yehuda and he holds the concept of Muktza? We're going to have a kash on that. Does Reb Yochanan say like Reb Yehuda and he holds that there's such a thing as Muktza? Reb Yochanan, halacha kistam mishnah. Reb Yochanan always said that the halacha is like a stam mishnah. Stam mishnah is a mishnah that has no author. It's just a straight mishnah with no machlekes or anything like that. So halacha is like always a stam mishnah. But Tanan, and we have a stam mishnah. We had this 2 days ago. Muchni shalah. So we have the wheel that's attached to the wagon, right? There's machi nishmetes when that wheel slips off, or it doesn't have to be slipped off, but meaning when the wheel is detachable from the wagon. Ein chibra, it's considered that it's not attached. You don't measure it, meaning we said that it has to be 40 saw. If the thing could hold 40, theoretically, if the wagon could hold 40 saw of water or liquid, then it would not be able to become tummy. So do you include the wheel? So you don't. Since it's a removable wheel, you don't include it. And it will not help for oil mace either, right? Meaning since the wheel is on the side, so it's not part of the wagon to block tumah from going up. And you're not allowed to wheel the wheel on Shabbos when there's money on the wheel. Meaning if you hid money in the wheel, you're not allowed to wheel it on Shabbos. But if there's no money on the wheel on Shabbos, then it's mutter. Now this is the Gemara's assumption. The Gemara is saying that when the wheel had money on it, then you're not allowed to wheel it because it's muktza because of the money. Once the money is not on the wheel, so then you're allowed to wheel it on Shabbos. Even the Gemara, this part is the Gemara's assumption. Even if there was money on it bein hashmashos. Now we know that Yehuda holds that once something is muktza bein hashmashos, so then it's out for the rest of Shabbos. To which Reb Shimon disagrees with that. So here we're assuming that the money was on the wheel bein hashmashos, right, from shkia till nightfall, and then the money came off. And Rabbi Yochanan is saying that you're allowed to wheel it. So clearly he holds like Reb Shimon, who doesn't hold of Migu Diskatzai. So we're going to say that this mission is talking about where the money was not on it the entire Ben Hashmashas, meaning the assumption was incorrect. We assumed that the money was on there the whole Ben Hashmashas, and now we're saying no, it was not on there. And why are we saying that? Because we don't want to break the words of Rabbi Yochanan, meaning Rabbi Yochanan, the Gemara is assuming that Rabbi Yochanan clearly said that the law is like Rabbi Yehuda, and then this Mishnah would be a kasha on that. So therefore, we're going to say that the Mishnah is not a kasha because the money was not on there the whole Ben Hashmashas. Therefore, the wheel is not muktza, even according to Rabbi Yehuda, because it wasn't on there the entire Ben Hashmashas. Okay. Amar Rabbi Shua ben Levi. Pamachas halach Rebbi le deyuspara. One time, Rebbi traveled to this town called deyuspara. V'hayra b'Menorah k'Reb Shimon ben Ner. That's very cryptic with that line. And he taught by a menorah like Reb Shimon ben Ner. All right. So what exactly does that mean? So a bailu. So the Gemara asked that a bailu. They asked the shaila. Hayra b'menorah k'Reb Shimon ben Ner le'atera. Did he teach by a menorah like Reb Shimon with a ner and everything is mutter? Because he said he was teaching like Reb Shimon that there's no such thing as muktza. Right? Meaning the only time a ner is muktza according to Reb Shimon is when the actual flame is lit. Once it goes out, it's not even muktza according to Reb Yehuda. Dilma, hayra b'menorah li'isura, or maybe he taught by a menorah li'isura, u'kareb Shimon ben Ner. So by a menorah he taught it's aser. U'kareb Shimon ben Ner, but by a lamp he taught like Reb Shimon le'atera, and it's mutter. Meaning, was he saying one thing and it's all mutter, or was he splitting it? And he was splitting a menorah from a ner, and the menorah was saying Isser, and the ner was saying mutter, like Reb Shimon. So Teku, the Gemara says we don't know exactly what Rebbi was teaching over there, which is interesting because, I mean, that means Rebbi gave a shir in this town of deyuspara, and it seems like nobody had any idea what Rebbi said, right? Which I guess happens.
I can relate.
Yeah, if you have a big rabbi comes to town and nobody has any idea what he's saying because he's way above everybody's heads, maybe. Okay. Ramalchia ikla lebei Rebbi Simlai. So Ramalchia traveled to Rebbi Simlai's house for Tiltal Sharga, and he carried a lamp. The ikbid Reb Simlai. Reb Simlai was makbid on him, meaning Reb Simlai told him, don't do that. Right? Now, he didn't take a lamp that was lit, because that's also according to everybody. He took a lamp that already went out, and meaning he did like Reb Shimon, right? Because once the lamp's out, Reb Shimon says it's okay. And Reb Simlai was makbid on him and told him not to do that. Reb Yossi Glila iklu la'asir Reb Yossi Reb Chanina. So Reb Yossi Glila traveled to the town of Reb Yossi Reb Chanina, Tiltal Sharga, and he also took a lamp that was extinguished. Reb Yossi Reb Chanina. Reb Yossi Reb Chanina was makbid on him. Reb Avo ki iklu la'asir Reb Yeshua ben Levi. Reb Avo, when he traveled to the town of Yeshua ben Levi, have a metaltal sharga. He would take a lamp. He didn't take it. So now you see what Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi was doing in one town. This is an important musar, and I hope it doesn't come up with the whole minyanim thing. Again, we're not going back there. But Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi in one town carried an extinguished lamp, and then when he went to Rabbi Yochanan's town, he did not carry it. So the Gemara says, Manavshach, either way, right? Ikar Rebbi Yehuda, Svirulei, Liavik Rebbi Yehuda. If he passes like Rebbi Yehuda, then he should do like Rebbi Yehuda, and it's Muktza. Ikar Reb Shimon, Svirulei, and if he holds like Reb Shimon, Liavik Reb Shimon, then he should do like Reb Shimon. So meaning, which way does Rabbi Shua ben Levi hold? So the Gemara says, Laila Reb Shimon, Svirulei. Really, he holds like Reb Shimon. Umishum Kvaidai, do Rabbi Yochanan, who do I have a Avid. But when he went to Rabbi Yochanan's town, even though he held that it's not Muktza, but when he went to Rabbi Yochanan's town, he did not do neder what Rabbi Yochanan paskened, right? Which is that's what we're supposed to do. We're not supposed to, a lot of us when we go to a town, we show everybody that oh yeah, I hold different. No, that's not the wrong. That's the wrong thing to do. You do what everybody else does in the town.
So Yaakov, didn't the Gemara have a whole shiloh what Rabbi Yochanan held? Like, wouldn't this be a ride to that shiloh, or was it? Maybe this occurred afterwards?
Yes, no. By now already, that's a good question. By now, the Gemara is already establishing that Rabbi Yochanan passing like Rabbi Yehuda, not like
because
not
Abai didn't Abai ask him Rabbi Yosef before?
He asked,
didn't
he asked
you know?
Yeah,
so I guess this is afterwards because it seems like the Gemara is saying in like a double pasha, like when you go to Rabbi Yochanan's town, everyone knows he passes like Rabbi Yehuda.
Right. Yeah. So it seems like that was the mistake. That was not the mistake, but that was the misunderstanding that on Amud Beis when Rabbi Yehuda said, when Rabbi Yochanan said they say in the yeshivas they pasken like Reb Shimon, that was not Rabbi Yochanan talking. That was Rabbi Yochanan quoting the yeshivas, but he himself did not hold. That's interesting. You're right. It's interesting that the Gemara is busy with who Rabbi Yochanan pasken like. I was saying why Rabbi Yochanan any more than anybody else who they pasken like. Okay, fine. Rabbi Yehuda Sharga the Mishcha Sharga Tatuloi, a lamp that's an oil lamp. So after it goes out, you're allowed to carry it. Obviously, this is going like Reb Shimon who holds there's no muksa. The nefta asala tatula, but if it's neft is I don't know, how do you say neft nowadays in Hebrew? Kerosene. Neft is like, I don't know, whatever it is. Who?
Isn't it paraffin?
Is it paraffin?
There was a company called
Paraffin's
Neft.
Clean. Neft is something that's real dirty. Something that's very dirty. What?
Our scroll says nefta.
Paraffin is liquid wax. It's literally just wax.
No, neft is a thing. It's still a real thing.
Pitch.
It's made from pitch. At the bottom of the article it says pitch.
Yeah, it's a pitch. Whatever, pitch smells and it's disgusting, right? When they're doing those, those machines when you're cursing them, when they shut off one lane and you have to sit in the traffic 15 minutes to drive those things are disgusting.
I think it's what's left after refining crude oil. It's left at the bottom of crude oil's refining process. It's
that what that is?
Dirty stuff. I think so. It does burn, but it's gross.
It is. It's a byproduct of oil production of like
and
shale
but it burns very dirty and burns disgusting. That seems like
it's the garbage. Basically, it's garbage left over from oil production. But it's still burned.
Okay, good. So thank you. It's good. So it's really disgusting. That's at least what the Gemara is saying. So basically, again, Rabbi Yehuda said that a oil lamp that was extinguished, you're allowed to carry, because Reb Shimon does not hold of Muktza. What kind of Muktza would it be? Because it's disgusting. So Reb Shimon doesn't hold it at. But the nefta asla tatula. But if it's made of neft, even Reb Shimon, Rashi says, even Reb Shimon would hold that that's Muktza, because that's so disgusting that nobody would do anything with that, right? So even Reb Shimon, who doesn't hold the Muktza, would hold that there is he has a standard where there's disgusting and then there's really disgusting. So something that's really disgusting, even Reb Yehuda holds as Muktza, because you would never touch it. Nobody wants to touch it because it's so disgusting. So Rabbi and Reb Yosef, the nefta nami sharu l'tatula, but Rabbi and Reb Yosef disagree, and they say no. Reb Shimon has no boundaries, and he holds even anything that's the most disgusting is still going to be mutter on Shabbos because he totally doesn't hold of Muktza. Okay, so now we got a story. Rav Avia iklu lebei Rava. Rav Avia traveled to Rava's house. Have a meisin beikare betina. His meisin means it got disgusting. Beikare is his shoes. Betina with mud. Asive apuria kamei de Rava. So what did he do? He took the shoes and he put them down on the bed in front of Rava. Right? Now, I don't know why he did this. So Ikbid Rava was makbid, meaning this guest came to his house, took his muddy shoes and put it down on top of his clean bed. So Rava was not happy about it. So Rava was makbid. So Rava wanted to cause him pain. but not physical pain. He wanted to ask him a kasha and slug him up on something. So Amalei, my time, what's the reason that you, my time of Rabbi Yosef Dami Tavau Sharga the Nefta Nami Charlotte Tatule? How come both Rabbi and Yosef hold that even a lamp that's lit with pitch that's really disgusting? How come they hold that Reb Shimon, even that Reb Shimon says it's not Muktza? Amalei. So Rav Avi answered, now this is a very important concept in Hilchos Muktza. He answered because since you can do something, again, what's Muktza all about? It's all about whether is there a potential use for this thing on Shabbos or not. So the assumption is that just nothing to do with this light that's lit from pitch because it's so disgusting. So Rav Avi said, no, there is something to do with it. You can use it as a, you can cover it. You can use it as a cover for a pot. Let's say you want a pot to be covered. So you put this down on top of it and it covers the pot. Or you use it as a paperweight or something like that. Or a more contemporary thing would use it as a doorstop, something like that. So therefore there is a use for it. So that's why Reb Shimon, Rabbi Yosef say Reb Shimon would say that that's Muktza either. So then he asked them back, if that's so, so then he asked them back, so if that's the case, then everything should be fair game. Nothing should be Muktza. Even when you go out to your yard and there's rocks, right? Everybody knows rocks are Muktza, right? Why? Take the rock and use it as a paperweight or use it to hold the door open, or the way the Gemara says it, to cover over a pot. You need a pot cover, so you go get yourself a rock. So why is that? Why should those be Muktza? Amarlei ha'ika tayras kliyaleh. Hani leka tayras kliyaleh. So this is a very important rule. This, the lamp is a kli. It has, it's a utensil, right? So therefore, you're not using it anymore because it's burnt out. So now you're going to use it, this kli, you're going to use it for something else. But rocks are not a kli. So since they're not a kli, therefore you can't move it for anything. There's no way you can move it. Now, why is this such an important rule? Because I don't know if you're familiar with the phrase of kli shemalachte le'isr. Okay? Let's say you have a hammer, right? So a hammer is Muktza, because what are you doing with a hammer on Shabbos? You're not allowed to build. But let's say you need the hammer to open up, what's the classic case? You need the hammer to open up some walnuts on Shabbos, right? So are you allowed to take a hammer? So the answer is you are allowed to take a hammer because it's a kli shemalachte le'isr. So since it's a kli, so you're allowed to take it, even if it's not, you're not banging nails with it, you're using it to break open a walnut or peanuts or whatever it is. Right, so that's kli shemalachte le'isr is mutter legufai, meaning to use it, or if you need the place. Let's say you left the hammer on a chair and you need that chair for a guest, so you can move that hammer. But let's say you have a rock. So why can I go out to the street and get a rock and open up my walnut that way? Because a rock is not a kli. Since it's not a kli, it does not have this heter of gufai or makoime. So if you have a rock sitting on your chair and it's a rock from the street, not a fancy rock that you bought, whatever. It's anything like that. It's a rock straight from the street. You cannot take it off the chair because it's not a kli. So meaning basically, again, you have a kli is Muktza, right? There's a rock and a hammer on Muktza. But since the hammer is a kli, it's a utensil. Therefore, you have the ability to use it if necessary. But a rock cannot be used unless you decide before Shabbos that you're using it. Okay, so that's a very important rule in this bottom line here of the Gemara.
That's
so then the
beauty of Tikkur Shabbos.
What do you mean?
No, they used to take their rock when they would throw rocks at cars.
Oh,
so they would designate piles of rocks before Shabbos specifically for that reason.
Right. Yeah, 100%. Right, you designate the rocks and do that. But I guess if they were going to throw hammers, they wouldn't have to because that has a need.
That is one of the beauties of Tikkur Shabbos. One of the many beauties of Tikkur Shabbos. Yes.
Yeah. There you go. Okay, so then the Gemara says a proof for this. Miloi Tanya, did we not learn, and this is going to be a Gemara later. Miloi Tanya, did we not learn that Ashirayim v'hanizmim v'tabois harein kechol hakelim hanitlam b'chotzer. I'm not Shirayim. Shirim. Nizamim is, these are all types of jewelry, rings, earrings, nose rings. They're all like kelim hanitlam b'chotzer. Right? Now, this is talking about that you're not allowed to wear jewelry in the street on Shabbos. Okay, it's in about 10 blot from now, 10, 12 blot from now. Right, really the halach is that you're not allowed to wear jewelry on Shabbos. And the reason why they made the gzeira that you're not allowed to wear jewelry on Shabbos is because the women were taking off the jewelry and showing it to each other and then walking around with it in the street. So then, according to some opinions, you're not even allowed to wear jewelry even in your own house because we're afraid you're going to take it out to the street. So that's what this is referring to. So if that's the case, so those opinions, that means jewelry is muktza. Because what are you going to do with jewelry? If you hold you're not allowed to wear jewelry in the street, and you're not allowed to wear jewelry at home in case you might bring it into the street, so then jewelry is muktza because you're not allowed to do anything with it, right? So the Gemara says, Hashirim v'nizamim v'adavos harein kachol hakelim hanitlin v'chatzah. They're no different than any other utensil. V'amarula matam hayal v'ika tayras kli aleh. Since it does have a tayras kli, so hachanami hayal v'ika tayras kli aleh. So here too, these lamps have the same din, meaning the reason why the jewelry is not muktza is because it has a kli, so if necessary you can use it. So too the lamps are also the same thing, but not rocks, because rocks are not kalim. Fine. Amar Rav Nachman Yitzchak Baruch Rachmana D'Loi Ksibe Rav L'Rav Avia. Baruch Hashem, he said that Rav Avia gave a good answer to Rava, and therefore he didn't embarrass him. Right? Right. Rava was, well, again, what was the story? Rava was upset that he put his dirty shoes down on the bed, so he wanted to try and embarrass him in learning, and the Rav Nachman by Yitzchak saying that Baruch Hashem, Rav Avia was able to defend himself. Okay.
How does the jewelry ever have a use other than just looking at it and enjoying it? Like well, a necklace chain can't really, it's not a kli that you can use in a productive fashion, like a hammer to break open a nut.
I guess, is there anything you can do with it? You could use it as a paperweight. I don't know back then if they had that, but they could have used it as a paperweight, no? I don't know, but I hear, right? Yeah, but I imagine this something. Could you use it as a door? Door? I don't know if you would use it. Meaning, because it might be. You're asking a different question. Meaning, sometimes you have things that are muktza. We discussed it a few days ago. That could be muktza because of chisar and kiss, right? Which also you don't have that heter. Meaning, if it's something that's so expensive that you never would let anybody use it, so then that also wouldn't be. That also wouldn't be allowed. Okay, but yeah, we'll get more into this when we do. When we start.
This isn't chisar and kiss though. You yourself would wear it. It's just you're not allowed to wear it because you might take it off.
So therefore, if you put it away and you don't want anybody messing with it, and you would never use it for anything else, so then how can you say that it's not muktza? Okay, so Amar Nachman by Yitzchak. I'm sorry we did that. Okay. Rami le Abaye le Rabba. So Abaye asked the kasha to Rabba. Tanya, we learned Meiser Hashem and Shebener, the leftover oil that's in the candle, Shebeka'ara, also, right? We said that the leftover oil that's in the lamp and that's in the pot is aser because it's muksa. But Reb Shimon Matin, Reb Shimon, who doesn't hold a muksa, says there's no problem with the oil. Amal Reb Shimon les le muksa. So we see Reb Shimon doesn't hold a muksa. Uraminu. And I'll ask you a question. Reb Shimon says, "Kol she'ein mumay nikar me'erev yontif ein zeh min hamuchan." If it's mum is not nikar from erev yontif, then that's not considered prepared. Meaning, if you have a bechor nowadays, right? Let's say you have a bechor of an animal. We're talking about. So what's the din of a bechor of an animal? Of a behemoth tahira. So nowadays we don't have a Beis HaMikdash, unfortunately. So therefore, you have to let it graze until it gets a mum, and you can't use it. Now, there's no pidyon haben by kosher animals either. Like by humans, there's pidyon haben. You get a kai and you pay it. By animals, it's not like that. So if you have a kosher animal, and it's the firstborn, then you just have to let it sit until it gets a mum. And once it gets a mum, then you have to get a chacham to pasken on that mum. And then you can use it. Then you could use the animal, right? So,
whatever happened with your Shiloh with this?
Very good, Taka. Yeah. I actually had this Shiloh couple of months ago, right?
Like a couple months ago.
Let's go through the sugi and I'll tell the oilam the Shiloh. Good, thank you. It's the figures of Kayin said it. Kayin remembered that, Maisa. Yeah, because you're upset you weren't getting that animal.
Exactly. I wanted some meat.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's the din of the animal. So you have to wait for for a kohen or an expert to come and say it's a mum, right? So now, let's say before Yom Tov, this animal didn't have a mum. Then all of a sudden on Yom Tov, you notice the animal's limping. So can you shech that animal now? So Reb Shimon says it's Muktza, because you didn't have a thought in your head that you're going to be able to get a heter that it has a mum, right? So that's the kasha. But Reb Shimon doesn't hold.
Not necessarily though, because the whole time you're hoping it's going to get a mum.
Oh, very good. So, but the Gemara wants to think. That's excellent, Jesse. So what the Gemara is thinking is that,
why is it Reb Shimon? It would be
Yehuda. So
Yehuda.
Shimon, we've been saying till now Reb Shimon doesn't hold the whole concept of Muktza, and now you see that Reb Shimon does hold Muktza because he holds you now to use the sound.
But Reb Shimon holds of the concept of nolad, and this would be nolad according to Reb Shimon.
Well, I don't know if is that considered nolad is something that wasn't in the world before and is in the world now. I don't know if a mum is called that a nolad. Do you think?
Why wouldn't it be?
The animal now has a new status. It's usable for you. It just showed up. Just like the bait, it just shows up.
Right.
I don't know, but is that called something that's not? I mean, an egg that gets laid wasn't in existence, and now it came into existence, right?
Something
You're saying the mum is the same way?
And Lando wasn't thinking about this cow, but now he is.
I hear. Okay, I hear.
I'm always thinking about cow.
I hear. I don't know. Okay, I never thought about that kasha. Okay, I don't know. I'll think about it. Yeah. Anyway, so let's see again. So Uramin will ask you a steer of Shimon Aimer Kol Shein Mum Nikar Erev Yom Tov. If the mum is not recognizable from Erev Yom Tov, Ein Ze Min HaMuchon, because you don't expect that mum to ever happen, right? So that's the kasha to stira. So the Gemara answers Hachi Hashta Hasam Adam Yoishem Mitzapa Emasat Techav Neroi. When a person is sitting and he's looking forward to mitzapas, he's looking forward to when is that ner going to go out so you could use the oil. Meaning a guy, he's a cheap guy, and he sees the oil being burned, and he says, oh, when is it going to go out? Because I need some oil for whatever it is that I need it for. Is a person going to sit and wait? When is the mum going to fall? He's going to say, who says? He's going to say to himself, who says there's going to be a mum? And even if it does get a mum on Yom Tov, who says it's going to be a set mum, meaning a scratch or a little thing is not going to make it into a mum? It has to be a mum kavua, that's meaning a wound that's never never healing. And even if you're going to say that it did have a mum kavua, who says I'm going to get a chacham to pasken on it? Meaning even if it's very clearly a mum kavua, you still need a chacham to pasken on it. That's the halacha with this animal, right? So therefore, even according to Reb Shimon, it's so off the charts that a person would ever think that he's going to use this animal. So therefore, even Reb Shimon holds its muktza. So that's the Gemara's answer. Sort of what, like Jesse was saying. Also, the story that happened was that I get a call or a text about 15 minutes before Shabbos here from somebody in Middle America, and they say they just had a baby. Okay, that's a fairly common occurrence, but this one was that their sheep had a baby. Okay, so the sheep had a baby. And somebody told them, you realize that it's a bechor. And they had never heard of anything about bechor, nothing. Okay, now, how do we get around this? How come we don't hear about bechor, animals that are bechor? Because what they do is they make a guy a shutuf. When a guy is a partner in the animal, then it doesn't need to, then the halachas of bechor don't apply. So most people that are farmers are aware that when you see that animal's pregnant, or you know that animal, you're trying to get that animal pregnant, whatever it is, so then you make a partnership, sort of like Mechiras Chametz, do the same thing, and then you don't have any issues. But these people didn't know anything about it. So I was like, I can't say I'm a bucky in these shilas. So I said, it's right, it's almost Shabbos here. Meanwhile, don't touch that animal, don't use it, don't let your kids play with it. And they were looking so forward to having this animal. And all of a sudden they're told that you can't touch it, you can't use the wool, you can't, even to pet it is questionable whether it's allowed. And I don't know what we're going to do with this, because it would be an issue. But since I'm a big fan of Amorit, so I didn't really know the halachas of all these things. So over Shabbos I looked, and it seemed like it was an issue. And then they text me 2 days later, and I said, where'd you get this animal from? How do you know that it didn't have how do you know that this was the firstborn? I said, no, they gave it to me when it was pregnant. I said, who gave it to you when it was pregnant? They said, the guy gave it to me once it was pregnant. So that's a beferish halacha in the Rambam that says if the guy owned it when it was pregnant, even afterwards, even if it goes totally into the Jew's property, that's enough to get you out of Bechor. So therefore, the Shaila was answered. But it was a beferish halacha, and of course, I wasn't aware of it. It was a good, humbling experience. And I hope if the Shaila happens again, I'll be on the ball with this if my memory lasts. But I don't plan on getting the Shaila anytime soon. But anyway,
is this only for Bechor, like a male animal, Bechor, or is any firstborn of an animal?
What do you mean? No, it's any firstborn. No, it's
Bechor, any firstborn.
Yeah. Anyways, so that was that story. So
he's asking if it doesn't make a difference if it was a Bechor or Bechor.
I know, it doesn't make a difference. Okay, so Masav Rami, so that's that. So now the Gemara continues with this. Masav Rami Barcham, Mafir Nedarim B'Shabbos. You're allowed to, Mafir Nedarim is you're allowed to, how do you call it? A Mefer Neder, to annul a vow, right? If somebody makes a Neder, so you're allowed to, normally you're not allowed to do a Taras Nedarim on Shabbos. But if it's L'Tzairich Shabbos, then you're allowed to. So Mafir Nedarim B'Shabbos, L'Tzairich HaShabbos, for Shabbos. Meaning, if somebody makes a Neder, let's talk about a case with a wife. So if a wife makes a Neder, the husband is within 24 hours, the husband is allowed to annul the Neder. Okay? So what I'm
and Yom Kippur, when we matter Neder on Yom Kippur, basically, Kol Nidre.
Right.
So how does this? How are you able to do that?
How are you allowed to? Yeah. So the Paskening do discuss how you do that, but what's the answer there? There, it's really not a Hataras Nedarim. It's more of a tefillah type situation, and I think that's what the answer. That's one of the answers. But anyway, so on Shabbos, you normally not allowed to do it unless it's Shabbos. So let's say a woman makes a neder right before Shabbos that she's not eating dessert, right? That's a fairly common occurrence, right? And then the dessert comes out, and she decides she needs to eat the dessert. So the husband is allowed to be made for the neder. Oh, but why isn't the dessert Muktza? Right? For her at least. Right? Shouldn't it be Muktza? Right? And now, so let's see. So again, Masav Rabbi Mecham Mafir Nedarim b'Shabbos l'Tzarich Shabbos. You're allowed to annul vows on Shabbos l'Tzarich Shabbos. Amai lema mi yemer d'mizdakik lebal. Why don't you say, who says that the husband's going to be there, right? Because the husband has to be the one to do Ataras Nedarim. So maybe she's going to think in her head, there's no way I'm going to be able to be mounted this nether, and therefore it should be Muktza. So we say, no, Hasam Kedra Pinchas Mishmei Derava, Damar Pinchas Mishmei Derava, Kala Nederes Al Das Bailihi Nederes. Because there's a rule that a woman has in her head when she makes a nether, she has in her head that if it's not a real nether unless her husband agrees to it. So therefore, as long as the husband didn't find out about it and hasn't yet said that he doesn't care to annul the vow, she is not, in her head, it's not a legitimate nether. Meaning until the husband passes the 24-hour mark, in her head it's not a legitimate nether, so therefore it's not going to be Muktza. Okay, so then they want to ask a similar question. It's
a good thing we didn't make this share public, that's all.
What?
It's a good thing we didn't make this share public.
Yeah. So Tashima, Neshalom Nedarim Shal Tzarech Shabbos b'Shabbos. You're allowed to ask about Nedarim for Tzarech Shabbos on Shabbos, meaning you're allowed to do Ataras Nedarim. V'amai lema mi yemer d'mizdakik leChacham. Who says you're going to get a Chacham? Right? Meaning you can't do Ataras. By the way, you can't just do Ataras Nedarim. I mean, if somebody makes a neder, he says, "Okay, so I'm not eating this and this," right? And then a week later, realize he can't do the neder. You can't just go get 3 people to be mounted a neder. You have to speak to a Chacham first. And he has to first decide whether you have a good enough reason to stop the nether, right? So how come we're saying that you're allowed to ask about a nether, you're allowed to take back a nether on Shabbos, right? Why don't you say, who says you're going to find the Chacham? And therefore it should be Muktza. So the Gemara says, no, Hasam Elam is not going to Chacham. If you're not going to find the Chacham, Sagile begimel Hadyotis. Push comes to shove, would it be okay if you get 3 Hadyotis, meaning not Chachamim, to be mounted in another? But here, who says you're going to by the what it called? Who's by Bechor? Who says you're going to get a Chacham? I mean, a Bechor you can't use 3 Hadyotis. Bechor you need to use a Chacham. So by a Bechor it's really Muktza because who says you're going to find a chacham? But to find 3 minor people, that's no big deal, right? That's one of the shilas here with being mafker, right? With those that say you can't toivel the kalim. So you need 3 people to make something hefker. So you three adjoitis. It's not that big a deal, right? They're even being mafker in front on Zoom, right? So I don't know if they'd be matter neder on Zoom. I don't know. Yeah, fine. So Rami le'abayla Rav Yosef, mi amar Rav Shimon. Now we start a different question, which I'm surprised nobody asked. But again, there's another machlokes that Rav Shimon and Rav Yehuda have, and that's if you do something on a malach on Shabbos without intent, right? So Rav Yehuda says it's still a problem, and Rav Shimon says it's not a problem, right? It was the classic case, dragging the bench on the floor, right? You're going to make a hole in the floor. So Rav Yehuda holds that's going to be usur, even if you didn't intend to make the hole, and Rav Shimon holds it's going to be mutter. So now why are we saying that Rav Shimon holds that you're not allowed to carry a lamp when it's lit because it might go out, but you don't intend it to go out, right? So why is Rav Shimon saying you're not allowed to carry a candle that might go out? If it does go out, that was unintentional, which Rav Shimon holds is mutter, right? So it's an important question in the concept of Hilchos Shabbos, of what Rav Shimon holds. So that's what the Gemara asks now. Rami le'abayla Rav Yosef, Abai asked the kasha Rav Yosef, miyam Rav Shimon kavsa mutter l'taltalo. Right? Does Rav Shimon say that once it goes out, it's mutter to take it? Kavsa in like kavsa loy. Only if it goes out are you allowed to carry it. But if it didn't go out, then you're not allowed. My timer. Right? Maybe when you're holding the lamp, it's going to go out. So therefore, it's going to be a problem of extinguishing. So the Gemara says, Hashamina le Rav Shimon. We heard that Rav Shimon holds the Amud davar shein mischaven mutter. Rav Shimon holds if you do something unintentional, that is mutter to do, meaning you're allowed to drag the bench. So the same thing, you should be allowed to carry the lamp, even though it may go out, because if it goes out, it's totally unintentional. The Tanya, Rav Shimon, a person could drag a bed, a chair, or a bench, as long as he doesn't have the intent to make a hole in the ground. So the Gemara gives an answer. If it's a situation where if he had intent, it would be nisa deraisa. Then if there was no kavanah, then Rab Shimon would make a gezerah derabanan. Right? If there would be a situation where had you had intent, it would only be nisa derabanan. When you don't have kavanah, Reb Shimon would hold its mutter lechatchila. So putting a fire out would be an issa deraisa if you did it intentional. Dragging the bench would not be an issa deraisa because that's not the way you plow. So therefore, the Gemara thinks now, but the Gemara slugs this up. The Gemara thinks now that the reason why dragging a bench he would hold its mutter is because that's a derabanan. Even if he would do it intentionally, it's derabanan. But putting out a fire, if you would do that intentionally, that would be nisa deraisa. So therefore, it's not. Therefore, you wouldn't have that. You wouldn't have that heter. So the Gemara asks immediately. Gemara asks Masav Rava, right from another case that we had before. Meichrik sus. Somebody who sells clothing, Meichrik kedarkon. He's allowed to sell in the regular way, meaning he's allowed to wear the clothing and sell it off his back, literally. And what about shatnez, right? As long as he doesn't have kavanah that the clothing is protecting him during the sunny days and from the rain during the rainy season, right? So a person is allowed to sell shatnez, even though he's wearing shatnez, since his intention is not to be protected by it. But those that have tznius, mafshilim makal acharei, what they do is they don't wear the clothing, they put it on a stick, they hang it on a stick behind them. Here, if you had kavanah, it's a issa deraisa to wear shatnez, and kilai mechavin, and when you don't have kavanah, shari Reb Shimon lechatchila. Reb Shimon holds it's lechatchila. So you see that even if you were to do something intentional, Reb Shimon still holds as long as it's, meaning even if you do something intentional, it would be an issa deraisa. Reb Shimon still holds that doing it, you're allowed to do it as long as it's unintentional. So therefore, we eliminate the previous teretz. Elamarava. The reason why Reb Shimon holds that you're not allowed to move a candle when it's lit is not because we're afraid that it's going to go out. He would say it because totally have nothing to do with that, because if it were to go out, Reb Shimon wouldn't have an issue because that's not your intent. His reason is because it's a basis, it's a base, like we discussed yesterday. When you have something that's Muktza, so the thing that's holding it becomes Muktza also. So the neder and the oil and the wick are Muktza, right? Because and Rashi says, what do you mean Rabbi Shimon doesn't hold the Muktza, right? Because the wick itself is, you have to say that fire is Muktza. You're not allowed to touch fire, right? Because that's intentional. If you touch fire on purpose, you know it's going to go out. So Rabbi Shimon would hold you're not allowed to touch fire. So therefore, since you're not allowed to touch fire, so the lamp that's holding onto it is considered a base, and that base, memela, is Muktza, right? Yeah, so that's why. That's why Reb Shimon holds that you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to carry a fire, right? Now it's interesting because why does the Gemara say it's a basis for the neder and the oil and the wick? Just say for the neder, right? Who cares about the oil, right? That Tosfos discusses. Okay, have yourselves a good night and stay safe.
If the Olam could have in mind, say a parak of the Hillim, the Tinik Shanishba that I work with was a really nice guy. He was just nifter about an hour ago. He's 42 years old. Alex ben Avraham.
Alex ben Avraham. Okay.
Didn't even have a Hebrew name.
Wow.
Just
nifter.
Do you have a minute?
Also, this heter for this Friday with the shaving, is it like a quasi thing, or this is like totally okay?
The Mishnah Brura says it. Mishnah Brura says it, so
I guess that's good enough for me.
Tzviaku, you have a minute afterwards?
Yeah, I will have a minute. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Good night.
All right.
Good night, everybody. Good night.
Have a good night. Thank you.